2026, and this is the regular board meeting of Comox Valley Schools being held virtually today. And I would like to call the meeting to order at 7:03. And the Board of Education acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory 2026 regular board meeting agenda as presented. Moved by Janice and seconded by Sarah Jane. Thank you. So let me write that down. And seeing no hands, all those please indicate with using your virtual hand, please. Not your real hand, your virtual hand, because I can't see everybody on the screen. My apologies.
Michelle, I apologize. I'm not able to. It's not working when I'm trying to. So
okay.
This, but if I can.
Okay. So I'll just.
I know where it is. It's not working.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Because we can't see you. Did you know that?
You can't see me.
Correct. It looks like you have your camera turned off.
Oh.
And if you wanted to, then that's great. It's working. But if you, there you go. There your camera's on. Now we can see you.
I can
okay.
See.
So I'm going to try that again. And just try to use your real hands, and I'll scroll through. All those in favor of adoption of the agenda? That's great. That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. This will be good practice for as we go through our meeting tonight. Next is the adoption of the board meeting minutes. So I'll read the motion. The Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, adopt the April 28th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes as presented. So a mover for the motion, please. Sarah Jane, and a seconder, please. Chelsea, thank you very much. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. I just wanted to share before we move any further along into the agenda that regarding any questions that members of the public who are watching the meeting tonight might be wanting to submit. So there is a email address at the beginning of our agenda package. It's board meeting, it's all one word, boardmeeting@st71.bc.ca. So please submit your questions regarding our agenda tonight at any time during the meeting, and those questions will be passed on. We had a learning opportunity where we had an out of office on that, where there was a misunderstanding at our last meeting, and so that's been rectified. And so if you submit a question regarding our agenda, those questions will be provided to us to navigate during public question period. So thank you all very much. I'm going to move on to number 6, the 6th item, which is record of in-camera meeting minutes. April 28th, we had a regular in-camera meeting, May the 12th, a closed committee of the whole meeting, and May the 19th, a special in-camera meeting. And we do not have any presentations or delegations this evening. And then next, I'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the board chairperson report. In your packages on pages 14 and 15 is a written report, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of the items and share a couple of other things. I wanted to start out by talking about our Professional Development Day on May 15th, Indigenous Brilliance. And I have to say it is such a gift from the ministry to have a Professional Development Day mandated for the topic of expanding our knowledge on Indigenous ways of knowing and being, and the absolute brilliant day that it was throughout the day, and the work and the planning that it took to make it happen and to make it you know, put it to bed. But I don't really think that we could just take that day and park it and not have it be more than it was because of what took place that day. And it was also for me in the what was shared and how it was shared and how the whole day was presented. It was a powerful way to accelerate and honor National Indigenous History Month that begins in June elsewhere, but clearly began in our new time in Comox Valley schools. It was really important to start with that. I also wanted to talk about our school growth plans. We in one of our policies, policy 2, role of the board, one of our cornerstone pillars as a board of education is the development and maintaining a culture of student learning. And our school growth plans, we had the opportunity to view the school growth plans for next year or for this past current school year of our elementary schools. And for those that didn't have an opportunity to attend, when I walked in, it felt like a science fair, like as the science fair without the exploding volcanoes. And it was the energy in the room and the teams from each school talking to each other about what they were hoping to achieve and what they achieved and what they learned through some of the steps was quite amazing. And and a couple of the ones that are just examples of some of the great work happening in our schools was the energy and focus on the development of place through space and finding those right kind of spaces for our students to find their place in a school. And one of them was like 12 minutes of writing every day. The students in every grade in one school have to do 12 minutes of writing, and how they get to that through all the different grade levels. And one of the things that carries through me through much of my work, much of the time, is the saying that I use, and it's an idea without a plan is just a dream. And this clearly exemplified the 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 planning to fulfill the work that needs to happen and is happening in our schools. And I just wanted to share that that is a great example of the great work that's happening in Comox Valley schools. And thank you to everyone who's doing that hard but rewarding work. And one of the last items I wanted to touch on was one of the other key areas for our board is the responsibility of fiscal accountability. And I really wanted to highlight, as I have in the written report, the work that we've done that is also part of our current board governance plan was to align financial decision making with district strategic priorities. And there's a long list of things that we did differently this year. Started earlier from a financial literacy session of the board in November, through engagement sessions in November, or public and partner budget consultations in February, over 509 survey submissions, a staff budget working group, the inclusion of IEC and student voice, and more partner budget consultations. And the first reading of our budget bylaw on May 19th, and then coming forward, the opportunity for second and third reading tonight. And this was a lot of change. This is a lot of change for really good reasons. And I just wanted to thank everyone who's been part of that. We have some, marker days moving forward. Next week, it's National Accessibility Week. May, we've already started our grad ceremonies, and we'll carry those on throughout the month of June. Always hoping for fair skies for those that want to have outdoor ceremonies. And then again, lastly, but equally as important, is that June is Pride Month, and we celebrate and honor Pride every month, but we shine the light on it in June. And those were a couple of things that maybe a bit longer than normal that I just wanted to share with everyone tonight. So thank you very much. And then next, we'll move on to our superintendent. Jeremy, if you'd like to share your report with us.
Yeah, thank you. We could probably save some time by me just going ditto, but there's a few other things that I'll add, but appreciate the thoroughness of the comments this evening. First of all, I just want to give a big thank you to our students and staff today for their support, your support of our bathroom restrictions, and as a learning community as we work to support and try to reduce the impact on the environment and our colleagues with the CVRD who are working so hard today to resolve the issue with the sewer, and really grateful tonight to have gotten a note to say that we can anticipate operating as normal tomorrow as the leak, I understand, has been repaired. So really grateful for that, and grateful tonight to all of the pivots that have occurred in our schools, as the majority of things happening in this evening have been canceled, and certainly tonight all of us being here online. This is a busy time of the year. We had the opportunity last week, I did with a colleague and a trustee, we're able to bear witness to 25 of our international students graduating from Comox Valley Schools. This usually is a marker of students who have spent multiple years within our community to graduate with all of the credentials of a BC graduate and a Dogwood certificate. So really amazing to hear the 11 countries that were represented by the 25 students and the variety of countries that those students will be attending, including Canada, including here in the community, but all over the world for postgraduate opportunities. So just a remarkable evening of celebration of those highlights. I just wanted to echo Chair Waite's comments around just the Day of Brilliance on May the 15th, and just really wanting to honor that so much of the Indigenous brilliance that was demonstrated was with folks who are part of our school community, and just the humility that we have that much brilliance that is part of our district, and certainly acknowledging with humility and gratitude the members of a local community and other communities that were willing to support our learning as an organization, as a district. So very grateful for that day, incredible impact, and knowing that as we embody and embrace pedagogy connected to some of the Indigenous brilliance, that it is good for every single student that we have the privilege of serving in our district. So a huge thank you to the people across our learning community that supported that day to be as brilliant as it was. Tonight, I just wanted to acknowledge too, Chair Waite mentioned the Accessibility Week coming up. What a perfect night to hear an update from our accessibility committee, and looking forward to that component of our evening. But we have further work to do as we work towards increased accessibility across all schools and all work sites in our district. As we talk about inclusive and accessible opportunities, it's a great moment just to acknowledge that we last week had the 3rd annual Inclusive Sports Festival. It's growing each year. We had 135 students in grades 3 to 5, or grades 3 to 7 participating, making it the largest this year. I don't know if it's just in the ethos, but that's 3 years in a row with a very sunny, beautiful, perfect day. So I probably should knock on some wood there, but beautiful weather again. Just a day filled with movement, with joy, with laughter, with a very, very strong sense of community, where we see families, staff, educational assistants, volunteers, leadership students, community organizations, and local businesses all come together to help create a welcoming and celebratory environment for students of all abilities. And it's particularly touching to see the number of retired members of our learning community that are there, still connected in a meaningful way with youth. And just, it's just a powerful day. So really wanting to honor Matt Zadvorny and Gina Taylor and Amanda Lang for their work in making this annual celebration of awesomeness occur. As we talk about celebrating awesomeness, wanted to celebrate Jen Johnson from Airport Elementary. She's our Strong Start leader of our Strong Start program, who has recently been recognized by the Métis Nation of British Columbia as the recipient of the Child Care Provider Honoring Métis Culture in Early Learning Award. She was recognized for creating an inclusive and welcoming environment that celebrates Métis culture while supporting students and families from diverse backgrounds. Her work helping children and families feels connected and supported and reflects the caring relationship-based values that we appreciate so deeply in our district. So congratulations to Jen and the meaningful impact that she has on families and children in our district. We also saw a number of students and staff continue learning through visits to the Kumagway Big House. Just really grateful for community to open Kumagway for meaningful learning opportunities, learning directly from local Indigenous knowledge holders to deepen our understanding through relationship, story, and cultural teachings. I wanted to celebrate a athletic accomplishment. Our Isfeld senior girls have a remarkable record heading to provincials, I believe, this weekend with a 20-0 record, having won UVic Team Sales Tournament, Carey High Investors Group Challenge, along with capturing the AA North Islands and the AA Island Championship. So congratulations already for an incredible season. And of course, wishing you the best of luck in Kamloops, representing your school and our district this weekend. At our board office, we were excited to host recently the Hacker Gal 2026 Hackathon, where we had approximately 40 girls from across the district spend the day exploring coding, storytelling, and innovating through Scratch programming and collaborative problem solving. Tons of energy in the room, and I just want to do a special shout out to students Kalina and Aaron from Aspen, whose project was selected as a winner of this year's National Hacker Girls Hackathon. So congratulations to all participants, and particularly to our two students from Aspen. We hosted the second annual Comox Valley Schools Enduro Mountain Bike Race. It was held in Cumberland recently. Approximately 130 riders from across 18 schools, 18 districts across Vancouver Island and the Sunshine Coast, and many schools took place. Awesome event connecting tons of volunteers and community partners, and really wanting to acknowledge the United Riders of Cumberland Music, Forest Management, and the Village of Cumberland for supporting this event and helping create such a positive experience for students. And as Chair Waite mentioned, this is the season for commencements and celebration. We want to acknowledge the incredible achievements of our graduating students and wanting to mark this milestone achievement in a really great and safe way. So really encouraging our students to celebrate these great days responsibly. Looking forward to celebrating these activities or these commencement opportunities, and look forward to another great month in our schools. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for the superintendent report. Next, we're going to move on to trustee reports. And we have on pages 16 and 17, the Indigenous Education Council report. And Christy, was there anything you wanted to highlight or share that wasn't in the report?
Sure. I just wanted to share how wonderful the energy is and what an honor it is to join the IEC in our meetings. And I feel like there's a lot of work happening, and there's a lot of new things happening. For example, we have Chair Keisha Everson attending the first year of the IEC's chair gathering in Vancouver, which I thought was amazing that now they are starting to host this new event for all of the IEC chairs. So that's going to be wonderful. Keisha is actually going to be attending, and it sounds like she's going to be presenting on how the IEC has evolved over the years in the Comox Valley. So we wish her a wonderful time and hope that all goes well. And I also wanted to just mention our first ever June 6th District Indigenous Graduation Celebration at the Philburg Center. So we've got, I'm not too sure, I haven't heard the number of how many graduates we have coming to attend, but I know our family is very excited. And it's going to be a wonderful event at the Philburg. And so that starts at 3 for any families that haven't heard that information. And also June 4th, I wouldn't want anybody to miss the Highlands Secondary School logo unveiling assembly at 10:30 to honor the Ikatsi image designed by our own local Carver Everson, a former Highland graduate. So there's some really, some really great work and magical things happening in the district. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
Great. Thanks, Christy. I don't see any hands. I better check both pages. I don't see any hands from trustees. So next we'll move on to number 9, the standing committee reports. The next open committee of the whole meeting is June the 9th at 7 p.m. at the school board office. And I have a motion that the Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, receive the open committee of the whole board report dated May 12th, 2026. And that's moved by Sarah Jane. Looking for a seconder, Christy. And any discussion on the report? Seeing no hands, all those in favor? And opposed? And so that's carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to the Ad Hoc Policy Committee. The next Ad Hoc Policy Committee meeting is June the 16th. And I'm going to turn it over to the chair of the committee to see if you have anything that you'd like to share regarding the report and then the subsequent section of the agenda. So basically over to you for a little while, Shannon.
Yeah, I'll just take a few minutes, but thank you, Chair White. We have been busy again this month, meeting twice to try and finish up a bit of work before the end of the school year. Our report starts at page 20, and of kind of newsworthy of reporting is the I think we mentioned it last time, the idea of having a template for future policy development as well as policy revision work. And that can be found at page 23. There is a draft gender-based violence policy at pages 24 to 29, a draft sanctuary school policy at pages 30 to 31, and then a revised version of, or a proposed revised version of the equity and non-discrimination policy at pages 32 and 33. And the plan coming out of the policy committee is that both the development of new policy is something that we would bring to the next committee of the whole meeting on June 9th to share with partner groups and get some feedback. And then hope also to pass the few revisions in relation to the equity and non-discrimination policy tonight, because it's an existing policy that we have simply proposed some revisions to. And with those revisions largely scrolling, it's harder on a computer than with my paper in front of me. But expanding the list of types of discrimination to specifically include transphobia, to change or to include language from the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which of course is the foundational document in our country that entrenches rights as being inherent to being human beings, and also work around just organizing the policy to be aligned with the template or framework that we're also proposing for future policies. So with that in mind, I don't know if there are questions or just an appetite to move on to the motions. Michelle.
Can't find my, there it is. There it is. I couldn't find my raise hand button. Sorry. I was just curious, Shannon, when we get to each motion, or when we get to the equity and non-discrimination policy, would we be able to share on the screen the track change document, so that folks could look at it? Or I'm not sure if our team has the ability to do that, or if that was talked about.
That's a great question, Michelle. Do we have, I'm sure we have the technological capacity in the room. Do we have the document super handy?
If it's the will of everybody, I could go through the motions, and when we get to that motion, I'm happy to pull it up. I have it prepared here because I was just looking at it. I don't know if I have sharing
Great.
ability, but I can if I do.
Great. Shall I get
Yeah.
started with the first
Yep,
of them?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. That the Board of Education of School District 71 Comox Valley received the Ad Hoc Policy Committee Board reports dated May 5 and May 19. Are we looking for a seconder? Oh, hi, Susan. Yes, thank you. All in favor? All right. Am I seeing hands up for people who want to make the second motion? Is that?
I'm happy to go ahead and continue with some motions here. The
Okay.
next one is that the Board of Education of School District 71 Comox Valley approve the purposed policy template for board use with flexibility for inclusion of an additional elements where appropriate. So I see Chelsea seconding that, if everyone else sees that. All those in favor? I see 4. I'll move to the next motion if that pleases everyone. That the Board of Education of School District Number 71 Comox Valley provide the draft gender-based violence and sexual misconduct policy for rights holders and partner feedback at the June 9th, 2026 Open Committee of the Whole meeting. See a seconder by Susan. All those in favor? I see 4 hands for sure, so that's passed. And the next motion is that the Board of Education of School District Number 71 Comox Valley provide the draft sanctuary schools policy for rights holders and partner feedback at the June 9th, 2026 Open Committee of the Whole meeting. Christy, seconded by, thank you. All those in favor?
Sorry, who was the seconder, Sarah Jane?
Christy May.
And who was the mover?
I moved it.
Oh, you're moving? Okay.
And the last one here is that the Board of Education of School District Number 71 Comox Valley approve the revised equity and non-discrimination policy as presented. And I can share my screen here. I don't know how clear it's going to be, but let's give her a whirl. Can everyone see that okay? I can make it a bit bigger here.
I can see both pages.
So I can press this and show the track changes. Is that what everyone's?
That would be amazing.
Okay.
There we
So
go.
I'll just start at the top here. I'll even make it a little bit bigger to help everybody out. Is that big enough for everyone? And I'll just take a slow roll through here. Anybody can just stop me as they need to.
Shannon, did you want to walk through some of the changes that the committee made, so the board can understand the thought process?
Sure, I'll just expand it on my own screen.
Try and make it a bit
I think
bigger.
we've
here, so my
spent,
apologies.
yeah, I think we've tried to use some more consistent language around capturing that our school communities are both learning and working environments. The commitment to having them be safe, inclusive, equitable, and welcoming, of course, is ongoing. The celebrating the diversity of community came from, I think, later in the document, but was moved up to the top. And again, the previous one had referenced the Canadian Human Rights Act, which applies to public institutions that are federal rather than provincial. So we have kept in the reference to the BC Human Rights Code and the BC Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, but also expanded to include the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms as well, which is again the foundational document for protecting human rights and freedoms in our country. I think we've generally moved away from acknowledging and more towards committing, feeling committed to actions and values. Again, the last draft or the last policy we had not included transphobia and ableism, and we felt that it was important that those also be included. And maybe scroll to the next page. Yeah, we've had an ongoing commitment to removing, to avoiding or removing the term stakeholder, as it's been pointed out at some of our professional development association conferences, that's quite a colonial term that is not the type of relationship we're looking for and doesn't reflect the rights holders and partner groups around us. And then again, with adding the category around objectives, that's one of the 4 standard template categories that we are looking to adopt in future policies, both as we're developing new ones and also as we are revising existing ones.
Great. Thank you. Of
Well, thank you for sharing that too, Sarah Jane. That's great.
course. So currently this motion, I moved it. So I think if you want to, yeah, there you go. You can do questions and then we can second and pass it.
So it only had a mover at this point?
That's correct. It was just me.
Okay, I'm happy to second this motion. And then just speak to it and just I just wanted to share that while there weren't a lot of change in this proposed change, the proposed changes to this policy, there weren't a lot of changes, but some of the changes are quite profound. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank everybody for their work on ensuring that these the inclusion of some of the language, as Shannon, as you pointed out, has been made. So thank you. And I support the changes. So I don't see any other hands. Sarah Jane, you were doing a brilliant job of chairing this board. Could I have you carry on carrying through these next couple of motions?
Sure, sounds great. We're at the all in favor portion for this motion on the equity and non-discrimination. So I see 4, so that's passed. Thank you very much. Do you want me to go through decision items now on our agenda, Michelle? I can introduce Jay and then you can take over.
Sure, that'd be perfect.
So it's just that item A there, the 2026-27 school fees. Welcome, Jay Dixon.
Thank you. You'll see on page 34 and 35 a familiar report. Annually, we report on some of our standard school fees, and there's some information around our school hardship policies. Just note that we tried to maintain fees as they have been for the past several years. However, conversations for next school year at this time, if our cost of living that we're all experiencing continues to rise, we may have to explore next year slight increases to these. But in terms of the upcoming school year, those are some of our standard fees for our middle and secondary schools. I welcome any questions. This is should be a familiar report that we've submitted year after year at about this time.
Doesn't look like you have any questions. So the motion is that the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, approve the attached fee schedule for the 2025-26 school year. And I moved by Sarah Jane and seconded by Susan. And all those in favor, if you could use your virtual hand, if you could, that would be helpful. If not, I'll keep trying to scroll through. Okay, I see majority in favor. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that's carried. And next, we're going to move on to the next steps for our annual budget bylaw. And Harold, our Secretary Treasurer, I turn the floor over to you.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. I was making a joke earlier this week that we're 1/3 of our way through the budget process, given that the board's done first reading and that didn't receive a great ovation at the staff. We are a little bit farther along than 1/3, but just wanted to follow up on the conversation that we've had over those last several months, and then really got down to the specifics at the ECAL meeting on May 12th, and then the first reading last week. So part of the packages on pages 43 through 60 is the budget template that Jennifer and Candace have been able to put together for us. So it is the same documentation that the board received at their special board meeting last week. Given that we didn't hear any direction or didn't receive any direction from the board to make any changes, we brought the same the package with the budget bylaw amount of $173,446,504 back to the board for their consideration for second and third reading tonight. We talked a little bit about the process and kind of looking forward to the next big steps in the kind of the financial management of the budget. In June, we'll bring back the projected year end or the Q4 forecast, what we're looking at, and provide some opportunities for the board to make some year end decisions around any additional funding that is available. I know part of the conversations last week were around school supply and department supply accounts. Potentially that could be one area that the board may want to consider providing some additional funds on a one-time basis for next year. Again, taking into consideration, and we'll bring back that table that we had reviewed in a previous meeting around the multi-year budget and some of the challenges we anticipate with enrollment kind of flattening out. So that will be part of the overall process. And then trustees will recall the amended budget process. So as we get the September actual enrollment, we'll have an opportunity to amend the budget based on actual revenue amount. So that will be another opportunity for the board to have conversation and discussion around adjusting their budget to be able to finish the 26-27 school year out. So again, the preliminary budget that the board's considering tonight is really the first big step in providing those resources for next school year, but there's other opportunities coming up as well to make adjustments as necessary. Another big part of the conversation last week, and Megan had raised it around school generated funds. And I just wanted to thank Jennifer. She was able to conduct a little bit of analysis at a high level. We do get the reports in from the schools. It would take a little bit more work to be able to get into at the school based, but she was able to do a analysis at the financial statement level. Some of the increases, and we can follow up with Megan with some of the details, but a lot of the increases are around timing of grants as well. I know at the end of 2025, the district received a student and climate biodiversity grant. So some of that funding, because it was received late in the year, wasn't been able to be spent. So obviously that has an increase in those accounts. I know there were some schools that had fundraised. I think Highland Secondary had fundraised for a Thailand trip that was crossing over years. So some funding was raised in year one for the trip in year two. So again, that all has upward pressure on those amounts. But again, I'll follow up with Megan and be able to provide some of those details that Jennifer's been able to put together for us. Again, given that there wasn't any direction received last week, we've provided the same package. More than happy to answer any questions that trustees may have around that, around the numbers. I talked a little bit about it before I turn it back over to Michelle. Talked a little bit about it last week, but just really wanted to echo Michelle's comments during her chairperson report around the participation and the engagement in this year's process. You know, it was our intent as we received the direction from the board to kind of increase the consultation process. We wanted to take things that were working well in past processes and add a little bit to it with the intent of providing more touch points, more conversation, and hopefully we're able to achieve that, and that we can continue that process and those touch points into future budget development cycles. I think it just adds to it, the conversations around student success and making sure we have that focus on students as we figure out the resources required to be able to deliver those services is key. And having a larger amount of voices as part of that conversation only improves it. So hopefully people felt engaged and listened to. Can't obviously do everything, especially when times are tough financially, but at least we were able to have some conversations, understand where the priorities are in the system, and be able to do our best to be able to continue to consider those. And I think the plan moving forward of taking a deeper dive into some areas next year to be able to make sure that we understand that if any decisions are made to reduce expenditures in any area, that we understand those impacts and be able to provide the board with the best recommendations possible. So I think the approach that has been developed based on conversations that the board heard over the last couple of weeks is the right approach, and will provide a good, strong financial base continued moving forward. So maybe on that note, Michelle, I'll turn it back to you to see if there's any questions that trustees may have.
Great. Thanks very much, Harold. And so we're just hoping the questions will be regarding the budget. And so Janice, do you have any questions regarding this preliminary budget? Oh, you need to unmute the magic.
Yeah, I'm on a new computer here and it's trying to navigate where things are. So looking at the budget and in this budget here, and we are passing a budget, understanding that we have some cost pressures that we need to address. And we are very fortunate this year to have a surplus to offset some of those one on that one there. So talking about the budget and going forward, you talked about doing deeper dives and you talked about looking at processes. So I'm just curious, and I just clear understanding is how do you see us moving forward as a district through yourself or through the superintendent on that one there, and looking at what deeper dives need to be looked at and processed, and what consultation process will we have? Because we obviously, I mean, this budget, we're very fortunate that we are not doing cuts like other districts, but if we don't do those deeper dives, as you mentioned, there may be some challenges ahead. So part of this budget process is you talked about us having those challenges and doing those deeper dives, just clear understanding how that's going to look and the timeline in the processes. So come next year when we're passing a budget, we're not going to be looking at some major, major shocks as we should have done something earlier.
Yeah, and Janice, great question. Maybe I can start, and Jeremy can come in and add to it and correct if necessary. I think the conversation we've had so far is creating time and space, and we just did not have the time and space to be able to look at coming up with $3 million worth of adjustments to the budget. So like you said, having a year-end surplus projected to be able to cover that will provide that time and space. So then as we shift our head to what that looks like, and that's, the second part and probably the more important part of your question is, what does that look like? I think given the conversations we've had, one thing that I think we need to do is follow up with the rights holders and our partner groups and see what worked well this year in terms of conversation and consultation, because I think that needs to continue. So as we look at different areas of the budget or identify different areas of the budget, we want to make sure that we get those right spots. So I think part of the conversation with the rights holders and partner groups is, are these the areas that we should be looking at? We need to be able to make sure that we continue to deliver the service in the priority areas, but where are some conversations and where are we starting to look at it? And I think trying to do 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the most reviews and ensure that the resources are aligned with the strategic plan is going to be key. But again, continuing, if we've opened up that mechanism of having conversations, let's continue having those conversations so we get the spots right, and how we define the scopes of those reviews are all part of those conversations. So I think it's still a work in progress. In terms of timing, I think we're best if we start as school starts up and we get through that initial wave of startup. I'm thinking middle of September to end of September as we do that enrollment count, and working all the way up to the winter break, because it would be nice to have some information to be able to take to the board early in 2027. So as we start to count kids in February and we've got that process starting to roll, we've come with a whole bunch of information that has been reviewed, discussed with rights holders, partner groups, the board. It's a good starting point. And then we can start making having continued conversations about, okay, what are we going to do with this information? Are there some areas that we should be looking at adjusting the budget either up or down? And again, if we're going to continue to have some budget pressures, we're going to have to be able to make sure where we know where those adjustments are. The other time that we want to buy is around enrollment. Is our online continuing to be strong? Is the bricks and mortar with conversations with developers and the federal government and the base, is that enrollment going to continue to be flat, or is it going to increase or decrease? So I think that time and space is important as well. But I think a lot still needs to be determined on those reviews. But I think the conversation needs to be where those priorities are and making sure that the funding that we have, we're getting it to the right spots, and those reviews will be key on that. So hopefully that started to answer some of those questions.
Great. Thanks, Harold. And Janice, thanks for your question. Are there any other questions from trustees? I'm not seeing any hands. My tongue is a bit tied tonight. Who would like to read the motion? Who would like to move the motion and read it at the same time? Sarah Jane?
That the Board of Education of School District Number 71 Comox Valley gives a second and third reading to the 26-27 annual budget bylaw in the amount of $173,446,504 at their meeting May 26, 2026.
And seconded by Janice. Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, seeing no hands. All those in favor? And I see enough hands. Any opposed? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And thank you once again to everybody that made this happen. It was a lot of hard work, and I look forward to the opportunity that it gives our district to have the budget passed in May, to begin the work for the school year. Next is information items. I've still got my hand raised. There we go. It's information items, learning services, and we have an accessibility update by Joe Heslop, our Associate Superintendent. Are you with us, Joe? There you are.
I am. Kayla Kessler, everyone. On behalf of District Vice Principal Tara Ryan and the Accessibility Committee, it's my pleasure to be introducing this briefing note this evening. This committee meets regularly throughout the year with a focus to advance accessibility in meaningful, achievable ways. This committee includes representation from students, staff, and community members, and ensures that at least half of the committee reflects the diversity of persons with disabilities in British Columbia. Now, I was lucky enough to attend a committee meeting in February where we were able to hear from parents share their child's story of accessibility in our schools. This was a very impactful meeting, and I was humbled by the passion and the genius of the students, family, and staff who are committed to making a difference in our schools. Lastly, I'd like to hold my hands up high to Tara Ryan, who chairs the Accessibility Committee in a humble, curious, and beautiful way. And Tara's here this evening with me. She joins me in presenting this briefing note for the Board of Education, and she'll likely provide more fulsome responses to any questions that you may have this evening. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joe. And thank you, Tara, for being here tonight. Trustees, do you have any questions or comments for this report? I had one curiosity is were there only certain schools that could like, did we only do an accessibility audit on some of our schools? I think I remember previously we had done some audits. If you could refresh me on the school audit process, if you have that information, that would be fabulous.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Sorry, Trustee Waite. And thank you for allowing me to join all of you tonight. We put out to each of the schools 2 years ago the opportunity to have an accessibility audit completed with their school. We had 7 very brave schools step forward because they didn't really know what that was going to include, and nor did most of the committee. We were fortunate to partner with Spark BC, who provided the funding for us to pay a living wage to our students who participated in the audits for those 7 schools. We also had volunteers from the community-based accessibility committee join us. They had been completing audits throughout the community, so they were great leaders for us. We submitted pictures and data and measurements from each of those 7 schools who volunteered to allow us to test them out with this. And then we waited for Spark BC to put together the reports. It's been a long wait. We just got those reports back this spring. They are lengthy, they are fulsome. We are now spending a lot of time with our committee, which actually includes 2 new student members, gathering that information and dividing it up so that we can present it to operations, hopefully before the end of the year. And we're dividing that information into 4 categories, which compare potential impact of the work that could be done versus potential costs. So high cost, low impact, high cost, high impact, etc. That's the work that we're doing right now. I'd also like to, I'm not sure whether you can see it, but I'd like to highlight briefly the backdrop to Joe this evening. Those are artistic renderings of meetings that we had in the community. We had one where we invited students with various neurodiversities to come and have conversations with us about what accessibility meant to them, what they would like to see happening in the schools, goals that they have, needs that they have. We also had another session with parents and community members who we invited to have a similar conversation. And then finally, our third opportunity was to have that same conversation with people who were on our audit committee and on our accessibility committee. Spark BC generously donated funding to allow us to hire her name isn't coming to me, but her company is Drawing Change, and she came over from the mainland and drew these beautiful pieces of art, which were actually on probably 8-foot by 3-foot pieces of paper. And then the print shop did a fabulous job of getting those onto canvas for us, and we'll be displaying those in the Inclusive Education Office as a representation of all of the conversations and consultation we've had with both community and district, and most importantly, students in the district. And so, yes, sorry if that I didn't completely answer the question, but our hope is once we get these reports done and we've met with operations, that we can then open the door to do future audits independently without Spark BC. So not relying quite as much on them for funding, but still making that available to schools to see where their accessibility needs are, where we can improve accessibility in schools.
Super, thank you. And before I go to Christy, thanks, you absolutely did answer the question. Is that as Sam Brad is an amazing graphic recorder, and so and I've done work with Sam in the past, and that is the Drawing Change is their company. So yeah, I've had I love how the opportunity to capture an event through a visual like that is they're pretty impressive. Christy and then Sarah Jane.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give a big thanks to Mackenzie and Finley for joining the group. All the input is wonderful. And I am actually curious if when you kind of figure out your 4 categories, which I really love the way these have been laid out. I love the simplicity of it. And I'm curious if there will be an opportunity for you to maybe share maybe even just one of the Spark BC reports to give the board a bit of an idea of, I'm guessing it's quite in depth and thorough, and I'm actually really excited about that, and I'm a little curious. So I was wondering if there would be some sort of opportunity possibly to share with the board some of this information so that we can kind of get a bit of a deeper dive and a deeper understanding of the time that these students are taking and the work that's being done here.
Great question. Thank you. I have no problem with that. I will caution you that there are thousands of pages sitting on my desk right now that we are siphoning through. However, each page is broken down into photos of examples of what the recommendations are for, as simple as heights of sinks. Can someone in a wheelchair wheel under the sink? Can they turn around in their wheelchair in the accessible washroom? You'll notice in one of the photos I put in the briefing a picture of Jaden Hargraves, who is a former Isfeld student and is now at North Island College. And he was at every single audit that we did and was a big help. We used him a lot to say, does this work for you? Is this high enough? Is this low enough? You can see him in that photo demonstrating how there's no place at the counter for him to have an accessible space to write or exchange books or whatever without significant effort on his part. So he taught us a lot during that experience. I'm happy to present one of the reports or several of them if you'd like to invite me to do that, or I'm happy to present the smaller version once we've processed all of the information. It depends on what you're looking for, but yes, definitely that information is available to be shared.
Wonderful, thank you. I guess we'll look at that in the future then.
Thank you.
I'll keep my comments short. Some of my colleagues already addressed some of the things that I was going to say, Tara, but this report and update was good, and what it reminded me of when you had come to present to us in the past. So neat to see some of the updates, that we have a roadmap now to be doing some more in district work now. So that's inspiring for the committee's work to move that stuff forward. But yeah, I think yeah, it was nice to have this moment because it was reminding me of some stories that you shared with us last time about some of the just like some of the heartwarming stories and a bit of the humor that happened around some of these audits and how the kids were participating. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any further hands raised. Sarah Jane, would you like to read and move this motion? Sorry, I cut you. Just get some water.
No, you're great. I'm ready to go. That the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, receive the accessibility report as presented.
And moved by Christy, or sorry, seconded by Christy. Thank you. The last opportunity for hands to be raised for questions. If not, all those in favor, please signify with your electronic hand if you could. Virtual hand, I guess. Just looking to see if we have. Great. Thank you very much. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, that report has been received. And next, we'll move on to the superintendent. Jeremy, you have an update for us on the gender-based violence and sexual health.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm introducing the briefing note that's found on page 64 and 65 of the board package. What great timing, although we didn't see this when we started to share about this tonight, would be the passing of the board's new gender-based violence and sexual misconduct policy. So it directly connects tonight to that and the forward movement that we're experiencing. It's also an opportunity tonight not only to introduce some of the practical steps that we're taking, but it also is an opportunity to again express our gratitude and acknowledge the significance of the work that was accomplished by the Gender-Based Violence Working Committee. And for those that are familiar with the thoroughness of the report and the quality of the recommendations, I think there's an acknowledgement that we're engaged in a multi-year process. And so I wanted to start by acknowledging that we're moving forward, but that there is much work yet to be done as we work to promote consent culture, create balanced learning, enhance learning opportunities, increase staff capacity, improve processes around coordination and oversight of gender-based violence and sexual misconduct. I wanted to share a fairly significant forward step was in the seconding of Katie Van Watershoot, who's a teacher in our district who has certification in sexual health education. She is a significant component of the work in terms of supporting actioning the recommendations from the committee. In her first 6 weeks in her position, she's already actioned a number of items and has established a number of supports that will be available for all staff and in our classrooms next year to be used. Now her position is going to be impacted by a leave, and we will have Beth Peddle helping to provide some continuity and support to that work as we work to determine next steps. There's a number of bullets that are connected to specific steps, and I really wanted to highlight, I think, 2 key next steps that need to take place. And there needs to be the creation of a working committee whose work is dedicated towards actions related to gender equity and safety, and include the superintendent, trustees, and leaders from rights holders, partner groups, and educators. I think it's the logical next step from the great work, and to have a committee to continue to support moving forward and prioritizing this really important work and providing counsel in terms of orders of priority and making sure we're doing it in a good way. And then I think another very significant next step is taking the new gender-based violence policy that's been passed by the Board of Education and include APs that will provide consistent, clear, and clarity to the system that specifically addresses gender-based violence and sexual misconduct between students, and will support in practical ways the aspirations of the board's gender-based violence policy. There's lots of other bits in that piece, so just open to have some time for questions if there are some.
Looking to see if there's any hands raised, virtual or otherwise. Shannon, did you? Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have a question, but I did just want to say thank you, Jeremy, to all the work that you have put into supporting the work of the committee and now actioning some of the key recommendations of the report. I'm really appreciative of the space and time that was and the support of our committee and the work of the district so far. And one, as I was looking at the website recently, our district's website, I see that it has also been updated in terms of including some reference to the work of the committee, the report that was prepared, and then a lengthy list of definitions as well that I think has a great educational purpose. So thank you for that.
I would like to share the I think Jeremy, you've shared it before that before we can address many issues, one of the big issues that often comes up in school districts and in our school district is washrooms. And so I note that there's a consultant that's been hired, and that I was wondering, could you tell us a little bit more about that plan, and not the plan that you don't know yet, but sort of the steps to include the students in the washroom configuration discussions?
Yeah, we received really thoughtful correspondence. We've heard lots in our student voice around concerns with bathrooms. It's a fairly consistent concern expressed in multiple districts and certainly locally here. We received a really wonderfully written letter by student leaders of Highland that included a number of suggested potential designs. They put a lot of thought into ways that the bathrooms could be improved. So we made a commitment that we would hire an external consultant, that we'd figure out what some basic sort of common design themes for bathroom improvements would be. And we want to make sure that once we have those established, that we've had the opportunity to reconnect with that leadership group who had put a lot of thought into possibility, and we want to hear those thoughts before we proceed. The idea would be that we come up with a design that is that can be commonly and affordably implemented in our high and middle schools. So there's some simple things. For example, some of our elementary schools don't have dividers between urinals, as an example of a common improvement that could be used for enhancing safety in our washroom. So that's just a small example of a common design theme that we would say is a basic expectation in all of our bathrooms.
Thank you. Seeing, oh, there we go. Sarah Jane.
Hi, just before I move the motion, I just want to say how proud I am to have been on this committee and be involved in our district moving any of this forward. And I think just seeing the amount of people that were involved in the journey, all of our partner group support, the students themselves, everyone on this call, everyone at the district. So yeah, it's a proud moment, I think, for me. So I'm happy to just move this motion that the Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, received the response to Gender-Based Violence Working Committee report updated as presented. Thanks so much for preparing that for us, Jeremy, and for the next steps.
And that's seconded by Shannon appropriately. As seeing no hands raised for discussion, all those in favor? Whichever hand, I can see you all now. It's all good. And opposed. I don't see anybody opposed. That motion is carried. And next we'll move to business services and the 2026 May enrollment update by Associate Superintendent Jay Dixon.
Thank you. On page 66 to 69 or 68, you'll see our briefing note. This connects back to November when I presented a briefing note report on all of our brick and mortar schools and enrollment updates. So I've got quite granular in November with much detail, and I appreciated the feedback and the conversation when that was presented. So we wanted to bring forward a snapshot of what our online learning looks like at the end of a school year. As I mentioned, November online learning, we can make predictions as to what our student head count or FTE will be. However, students come and go throughout the year. So I hope this report kind of outlines kind of a snapshot of where we have been with online learning. And I'm focused on our May update. We have projected 320 FTE, and our actual is looking at coming in at about 390 FTE. So those numbers are still being fine-tuned, but fresh off the press, it's looking like anticipated increase in enrollment for May 2026. And overall, you'll see on there just kind of where September and where February landed. And attached, our Secretary Treasurer has attached a sheet as well that he or I can answer some questions on.
Great, thank you. Harold.
Just adding to Jay, he had mentioned that on page 68 is the grants overview. I thought it was important to be able to provide, given the conversations we've had recently around budget and so forth. And Jay did a great job of being able to express the different enrollment counts in September, February, and May. And I just wanted to bring this back because Jay had mentioned we're up by about 70 FTEs. As you can see in that yellow area for the May count on online, we had forecasted back last February of 320 kids. We submitted 390. So that's a increase if you convert it over to revenue, and the ministry still has to confirm it, but it's between $500,000 and $600,000. So then again, that ties into the Q4 forecast that Jennifer and Candace will be able to put together for us next month, and we'll bring back to the board for consideration on any year-end funding. But I wanted to kind of tie those two pieces together. Just to continue the conversation, continue to build the capacity. These are public documents, so you can go onto the ministry's website and see each of the districts' grants. So you can see their enrollment in the different areas. You can see different years and so forth. So a lot of good information if you like that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to be able to bring that for the board, rights holders, and the partner groups as well, just to reflect as we talk about revenue and how enrollment-driven revenue is the majority of our funding. Here's the breakdown as the ministry breaks it out. So just wanted to kind of add a little bit of additional context to what Jay had presented in terms of the numbers.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you to you both. Janice?
Okay. I have, I guess, two questions regarding the enrollment. One is, I'm just curious as to the number of kindergartens starting our district, if you have an idea of that, to the grade 12s leaving, which gives an idea of where sometimes our numbers is. If you have less kindergartens coming in than grade 12s, it's kind of just curious on that one. And it's kind of nice to see that our online school is still growing, but it's growing at the cost of other districts losing students, because those students come from all over the province, and that has an impact on other districts that when you look at their budgets and they're losing students and they see that, and it's great for our district. But at some point, I'm curious, you may or may not have, is the ministry a few years ago was talking about online learning and the impact it's having on districts in the province when you've got students gravitating to an online school rather than that one there. So there has been no, I guess, talk or look from the ministry like there was in the past. That review of the online learning is stopped because it's great for us, but it's bad for other districts that are losing students. And then going back to our numbers, our kindergartens coming into our grade 12s leaving, do we have an idea if there's more grade 12s leaving or more grade kindergartens starting school?
I can, if appropriate, jump in with the kindergarten to grade 12 question. This report is solely on online enrollment. I do not have those numbers at my fingertips at the moment in terms of the ratio between incoming Ks and outgoing grade 12s. That kind of connects to our November board meeting, but we could bring that back to you at a future meeting.
And maybe I'll just jump in through the chair just to respond. as well to part of the question, Trustee Caton, which is, and I want to be careful not to speak on behalf of the ministry, but I actually had a recent call connected to online learning and recognizing the minister's priority around meeting the needs of students in creative and impactful ways. And so there is a balance. We want to make sure that what we provide isn't just detracting from a district, but also is honoring the what we're hearing even within our own district. When we look at kindergarten programs that are offering something different, we're seeing a lineup and a wait list. And I think that it is time, as we consider how are we transforming to meet the needs of our students and not asking them to meet the way that our schools have always operated, that the online enterprise is something that's supported in terms of it's a flexible modality that is meeting the needs of learners who aren't necessarily having their needs met in a traditional bricks and mortar school. So we definitely want to strike that balance, but I think it also speaks to the urgency in which not just across the province, but locally, that we need to start looking at creative ways of meeting the needs of a dynamic, diverse learning community within our bricks and mortars.
Oh, I was muted. Janice, did you have a follow-up question from the responses, or are you?
No, it was just a curiosity on, and I apologize. But asking about the question about the kindergarten to grade 12, but I'm always curious at the end of the school year how those numbers worked out. And the online learning, I talked to trustee colleagues from other districts who kids are coming to our district, and I get that concern from them because they're looking at what we're doing so great here and how our district is meeting needs, as our superintendent talked about the needs of the students. And it's just one of those concerns that other districts have is the declining enrollment and how they meet the needs of their students. And it comes down to dollars. I mean, you know, the number of students you have in your district impacts your budgets. And when you lose students, it impacts your budgets. That's my curiosity on that one.
Janice. Sarah Jane?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that motion that the Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, receive the 2025-2026 May online learning enrollment report as presented.
And seconded by Christy. Thank you. And all those in favor, please raise your hand, whichever one you want. Down. And opposed. I don't see anyone opposed, and that motion carries. And next we have the carbon neutral action report with our Director of Operations, Molly Proudfoot. Is Molly with us tonight? There she is. Welcome. Molly, can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you. Yeah. Technology. Looks like Molly's not able to have her audio work. I'm just wondering if another member of the team might want to jump in.
So maybe I can definitely try. I don't have the details that Molly would, so I'm not sure she can give me hand signals to let me know if I'm doing it right or not. But
thank you.
Trustees, on the last page of the agenda, I believe it's page of the package, page 69. Molly was able to put together the briefing note. So just trying to read it at the same time. So part of the regular reporting to the ministry due at the end of the month is the climate change accountability report. So it's something that we do on an annual basis. You probably have seen it before, short the CCAR. So we'll be submitting that to the ministry by the end of the week here.
Hello?
And oh, now it's working.
Oh my gosh.
You fixed
You're
it.
doing so good, Harold. I'm
You saved
sorry.
me. That was the end of my stick, so all over to you.
Sorry, everyone. I'm not a Zoomer, as you can tell. Okay, so everyone can hear me, yes? Okay, right on. Yes, so Harold was right on the money there. We report every year, January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. So this will be the report that goes over our main GHG emitters. That's our mobile energy sources, our fleet, direct fuel consumption, which is our buildings, our purchased energy, which is electricity, our paper consumption, and something that is actually new this year is our fugitive emissions, which is related to like coolant and refrigerant. So like hydrofluorocarbons found in AC units, heat pumps, and pretty much anything that is cooling, like refrigerators even. So it's a regulatory requirement due at the end of May each year. It will be posted on our website, so readable there. One of the things I wanted to highlight in tonight's meeting is that we have declined 2% when it comes to our stationary admissions. One of the things that that does show is we're improving our building efficiency and performance across our facilities. And this is in spite of the district growing in square footage size. So I think that's an important thing to highlight. This reporting just factors into how much you're admitting, not how efficiently your buildings are. So that's something that we do identify every year in our energy report cards that we send to schools to let them know how their building is performing based off of its size. The other thing is we have reduced from our baseline year, which is 2010. We've seen a 35% reduction in our admissions. That puts us close to our target of 40% reduction by 2030. It is getting harder and harder for us to get there, though. And one of the things that has increased that difficulty is that as a province, energy now has a larger emission factor than it did previously. And that is directly linked to the drought conditions that we're seeing across the province. So the emission factor applied to electricity is actually going up, which means our total offsets are going up. So we have seen an increase in that, even though we're seeing higher efficiency in our buildings. And now you're going to hear my nieces in the background. They're visiting from Edmonton. Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Right. Thanks, Molly and Harold. Thanks for getting your tech to work. Christy, I wasn't sure if your hand was raised and didn't come down, but it looks like it was raised at the start of the report. Do you have a question for Molly? When you unmute, we would love to. Yes, we would love to hear it once you unmute. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of this work. One of the things that we hear from Student Voice is one of the causes of anxiety is, stress with climate change. And so I really feel like these reports are so very important. Also, I really love how you've briefed us with the performance of our buildings. And I'm really excited to geek out as soon as this gets online. But I'm curious if there is a means of showing our district, if we could come up with some sort of an infographic or something to be able to share so that we can show our students, maybe with a one-pager and also all of us to feel really good about these shifts and the work that's been done, because we've seen these projects going through, we've seen the efficiencies, we've seen the boiler upgrades, we've seen the heat pumps going in, and it's all been such great work. And I'm so excited that we can quantify it finally. And I think that this might be something that would give some students, some peace of mind. And I know it would me as well. So I just want to thank you and curious how we can go about sharing this in a manner that's probably not a 500-page report. Although I'm excited.
Yeah, I can answer that question
Okay.
if that works.
Please, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so excellent points. I agree that I think that it's important that we make this information digestible for our student population. One of the things that we do with operations, working with our energy management consultant, is we provide schools what's like an energy report card every year. So that gets sent out in typically around December-ish of every year, and what it shows the school, and it has some nice infographics. It shows them like a bar graph of their building and its consumption, and it breaks it down into those categories of electricity and fuel, and shows how it's going down or maybe going up. And then there's some nice verbiage that goes along with that to kind of explain the infographics that they're looking at. And that's some ways that we've tried to make it more accessible to students and available for principals to start having those conversations about our buildings and what they're doing.
Great, thank you. Shannon?
Yeah, thanks, Molly. I love that we get this report every year. I've talked to a few of our colleagues across the province who don't get the news of the report. I know the district does it, but it isn't necessarily reported on. Last year, you, I think, created it's about 20 pages, and I can't quite remember if that reflected the template that gets submitted to the district.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one of the pieces to it was like doing the calculation as to what the offsets are costing the district this year. And I have two questions. One is whether you happen to have that figure for this year. But also, I think you said that although our emissions continue to go down, which is fantastic, the cost is going up nonetheless. And did you say that's the nature of, you lost me at that point. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so every year we get emission factors. So for GHG emitters, they provide a emission factor to say, okay, this is how much of X that you've used, and this is how much it's going to cost you. So one of the things that we've seen an increase in the emission factor is specifically electricity, because we're having to import it. BC has been historically very lucky with water. And our electricity specifically has had a very low emission factor. But because of drought conditions, we have seen that increase. It increased it in 3 times just in 1 year. So I think with this past season we've had, the expectation is we're just going to be seeing those emission factors go up. But the good thing is we are getting more efficient with our facilities. So like our offsets this year will equal $44,750, which is close in line to what it was last year. You know, so we're not spending more money on our offsets, but it's getting harder to find savings and more expensive to make those big improvements.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you. I'll read the motion. And that the Board of Education of School District Number 71, Comox Valley, receive the 2025 PSO Climate Change Accountability as presented. And Sarah Jane will move that, and Christy will second. All those in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. All right. So the board has no items under the board business section, and there's nothing in correspondence. So we will now move to the public question period to the board, and I will thank our partner groups for thoughtfully providing questions to us. We have 4 in the queue. And I will read them out, and we will bundle them as to the subject matter. So there's one question, and I'll read it out. I'll read them all out loud. Through the chair, can you please share greater detail or expand upon the point on page 65 of the agenda under the gender-based violence briefing note? Conversation with Jana Rurlat and Danielle Carter-Sullivan, Executive Director of Early Learning, Mental Health, and Student Safety, to discuss potential next steps of a more coordinated provincial response. So Jeremy, are you able to respond to that query from Deepak?
Yeah, first, I really appreciate the close reading to catch that bullet. I'm happy to expand a little bit on that bullet. It was added just in time for this briefing note to be included in the board package. It was a meeting that occurred Thursday afternoon last week. It had nothing to do with the fact that there was a briefing note being prepared, but I believe directly connected to a response from the ministry regarding the advocacy that has come from our district, from our trustees, and from some of our partner groups in terms of advocacy to see a more supported and coordinated provincial response. I would say that the conversation is reflective of a very early conversation regarding that. I think there is a commitment to see a coordinated but nuanced approach around supporting districts and the good work that's happening. So Comox Valley Schools has been identified as moving forward in this area, and the ministry is very interested as we move forward to look at the new policy that's been passed and APs as they come about, and really wanting to leverage some of the learning that we're going to be doing here to support other districts and potentially, as indicated in the briefing note, a more coordinated response to support this work across all 60 districts.
Great, thank you, and thanks very much for the question. So the next two questions are for the team regarding the accessibility committee topic tonight. So I'll read the first one. They're on that same topic, but they're a different stream, so we'll do one at a time. Through the chair, with thanks to the Accessibility Committee for the work they are doing to engage with parents and families and students with accessibility needs and challenges. My question is regarding the Accessibility Committee. As we are always looking for more parent voice at DPAC and to continue to reflect our community as best we can, do you see future connections between your parent and family voice events, advocacy connections, DPAC, and the Accessibility Committee?
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll say something really quickly, and then I'm going to pass it over to Tara for this one. I think we're always looking for ways to connect more, and I bet she's got more to add on.
The short answer is yes, absolutely. We started this committee about 3.5 years ago, and the response to the invitation for sitting on the committee alone was overwhelming, to say the least, the amount of applications we got. I was new to administration in the district at the time, and we shuffled through many, many applications to get a good representation of folks on the committee. And ever since then, the role of the committee is huge. I have to say, we want to do these audits, we want to make recommendations, we want to connect with the community, we want to connect with our students and give them a voice. And so really where we started, as I mentioned, was working with students, the staff that they work closely with, their EAs were invited, inviting our committee in to have these conversations about creating a vision for accessibility in the district and where we'd like to see things go. So I can only expect and hope that that will continue to grow as we reach out to the wider community. Obviously, with DPAC, our community partners on the Community Accessibility Committee, we work fairly closely with them. Certainly, we have one of our staff members in the district sitting on both committees, so she carries information back and forth so that we can get ideas back and forth as well. So I love the idea of involving more and more parents, community members into the work that we do.
Great, thank you. And of course, Jeremy, you can weigh in at any time, and I didn't mean to bypass you to move to the accessibility team. Just know that you can, because you've got another question coming up from our DPAC parents through the board chair regarding the accessibility committee report as presented by Tara Ryan. Will the reviews of the individual schools be something that each school principal will go over with their parent community at a PAC meeting? If so, when can a PAC anticipate that happening? And if the accessibility committee is not raised at a PAC meeting, what is the appropriate way to create that arrangement? This feels a little bit more like a Jeremy, Tara, Joe response. So it's about PAC.
Jeremy, do you mind if I take?
Oh, please go ahead. Thanks.
If I fail miserably, then come in and save me. So through the chair, you basically, like we were saying, first we want to connect with operations for these reports, and we hope to get that done by the end of this year. And so what we're hoping is to get each individual principal their reports either at the very end of this year or at the beginning of August. And we would expect that principals would share high level, as Tara mentioned, these are very detailed reports. We don't want to take up an entire PAC, several PAC meetings with this, but the high level information, certainly we would expect those to be shared, like the list of the high impact, low cost, or what have you, or free, right? The list of the recommendations for increased accessibility. So that could just be like turning on captioning during that meeting, perhaps, or having maintenance just look at some of the accessible door buttons, make sure they're working in all the buildings, right? Just those types of things. So we would expect that would be likely shared out by late fall, and I'll just see if whether either Jeremy or Tara would maybe nudge me in a certain direction, but those would be the expectations, that they would share that out with their PACs. And yeah, I think that's a fair. That's my answer. I don't know. What do you think, Jeremy?
I think it's a commitment we can make and should make.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone, for that team effort. And then I believe it's our last question. And this comes from the CDTA, from the CDTA president, Sean Holland. With the student increase at NIDES, how many extra staff have been hired this year? How many for this last term with the increase of 70 students?
Yeah, through the chair, if I'll pass it on to Jay. I think mine are going to be general. There certainly has been significant staffing added to NIDES, and Jay may have more specifics.
Yeah, I can commit that following the September 1701, between September and February, staffing was added to NIDES. Following the February 1701, staffing was also added to NIDES. And we've had recent conversation with NIDES as to staffing needs and pressures as a result of the incoming May 1701 number. We can confirm those numbers with exact FTEs in a further report if requested. Also, as we monitor NIDES and work with the NIDES team in our HR department, we want to really ensure that when we are monitoring our growth, that we're doing it in a sustainable way and honoring the commitment of the programs that we have throughout our province and locally as well, and the families that we serve. Really, we have almost 3,200 approximately FTE of learners across the province, and we want to ensure that we're serving them the best way possible. With that, there are many teachers we've been fortunate to hire, and we are continuously seeking more. And I know our HR department is working collectively with NIDES to meet any teaching demands.
Thank you. So just to confirm that the CDTA can follow up for those exact numbers, because they were looking for exact numbers. So, okay, thanks. And then there was a follow-up question as well. How is the district ensuring the needs of all students being met with this large increase in enrollment during a teacher shortage? Jeremy, did you want to start that, or you move it where you may?
Yeah, I think I'll just echo the sentiment that was shared by Associate Dixon, which is I think part of the piece that we have to carefully monitor at this moment is NIDES growth, making sure that it is sustainable, that it is supported appropriately, and that we don't grow beyond the capacity to provide the programming that we have so many people signing up to access. So I think that if we end up unable to staff, we certainly won't be running those programs, and then there will be no further growth. So we want to make sure it's built on sustainability, and that we can ensure quality programming for everybody who is participating in that environment.
Thank you. I believe that those are all the questions that have come in. And I want to thank our partner groups again for submitting such well-written and thoughtful questions, and to the responses from our team here tonight. And I'm going to read the motion regarding adjournment. That the Board of Education of School District number 71, Comox Valley, adjourn this meeting. Who would like to move that? Sarah Jane, seconded by Chelsea. You have the best background, Chelsea. All those in favor? Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned